Good evening and welcome to the Irish Art Show broadcast from the Scientology Community Centre. What do you get when you combine a piano-obsessed author, a DIY Renaissance man and some budget vintage gear? Can't wait to hear the story. You get singer-songwriters Nick Puyane and Conal McIntyre. They make music which is unique, raw and with an emotional centre. Please welcome them to the show.
You're looking for, but I will find a solution to guide you through your confusion. You won't have to pay today, at least not very much anyway. Time to sign on the line that is dotted, so we can get this party started. And if you're lost, you know I will give you a direction. And if you need some loving, I will shower you with affection. But time moves on, as we all know, and then you'll pay just what you owe. Didn't you know it, baby? Don't you know it, baby? Don't you know I'm coming for your soul? Well, it's another day in paradise. Should've listened to my advice. Gotta learn to read every line and check it over before you sign. You didn't know I'd bought and sold you, even though I'd plainly told you. No, I won't take no petition. Can't you see you got no position? The time has come, as we all know, and now you pay just what you owe. Don't you know it, baby? So now you're lost, you know that I'll be giving you directions. And though you need some loving, well, I can't spare you no affection. The time has come, as we all know, and now you'll pay just what you owe. Don't you know it, baby? Don't you know I'm coming? Don't you know I came for your soul? One of these days I'm gonna find my way. I'm gonna light on what I'm looking for. One of these days I'm gonna steal away and take a path that's gonna give me more. I've no poet to guide me. I gotta take a deep look inside. But I'll find my way, yeah, one of these days for sure. One of these days I'll take my own advice, changing up just how I do. Happy days, and wouldn't it be nice if only that were really true? No poet's gonna guide me. I gotta take a deep look inside. I'll find my way one of these days for sure. One of these days I'm gonna find my way. I'm gonna light on what I'm looking for. One of these days I'm gonna steal away and take a path that's gonna give me more. And when I get there, if I'm denied it, well, I'll build my own door and just stride in. But I'll find my way one of these days. I'll find my way one of these days. I'll find my way one of these days for sure. Our great achievement
nothing more than fire's fuel. It spits, it hisses, and it dances pure. When we touch, I feel colliding worlds. In your gaze, the universe unfurls. Clarice, I have found my way in a world too proud to stand its ground. Don't break before you die. I could never tell, I could never know, I could never be sure. I washed my face in the river, hoping that it could make me pure. Through the sea of sameness, she holds out her hand. Through the sea of sameness, she holds out her hand. Our best intentions, soaked and doused in kerosene. The heart runs over, filled up drop by drop. When we touch, I feel colliding worlds. And in your gaze, the universe unfurls. Clarice, I have found my way in a world too cowed to stand its ground. Don't break before you die. I could never tell, I could never know, I could never be sure. Washed my face in the river, hoping that it could make me pure. Through the sea of sameness, she holds out her hand. Through the sea of sameness, she holds out her hand.
It's all unfurled, makes my head, my poor head, like Tracy Emin's bed. So what to do? mind and take my hand. Pull me in and hold me close. You're the cure for what ails me when I'm so morose. Flailing bad and that ain't good, failing so to speak. But I'll feel better with you when we're cheek to cheek. What a day, and how it's gone astray. It's cold and damp, and you'll be saying, come on, wake up, champ. It's moving fast in the wrong way, but it won't last. If I'm with you, we'll turn this song into a dancing song day. So take my hand, pull me in and hold me close. You're the cure for what ails me when I'm so morose. Flailing bad and that ain't good, failing so to speak. But I'll feel better with you when we're cheek to cheek. Take my hand and pull me in and hold me close. You're the cure for what ails me when I'm so morose. I'm flailing bad and that ain't good, failing so to speak. But I feel better with you when we're speaking. My deals are better with you now they're cheeking. And I'll feel better with you when we're cheek to cheek.
Okay. One, two, 1, 2, 3, 4. You chase the river when the stream was at our feet. And you race the night sky with your eyes as black as coal. Oh, as we finger on the trigger at first light. Pray you lie, resting easy, blessed and only to pace yourself. When you cry, place your ribbon out the window and face the wall. When you fly o'er the fields, count the houses down below. May you lie blessed and easy, resting only to pace yourself.
Walking barefoot across the lawn, raising a glass to salute the dawn. Still awake, only just. My mind turned to stardust. Yesterday is far away, a dream that only can replace tomorrow's visions. If they come, are welcome, but if they should disappear, well, I can't live my life in fear. The day is only just begun. Though I could see the skies turn gray, it was gonna be a better day. Things I thought I cared about fell away, and I was left in no doubt. Yesterday is far away, a dream that only can replay tomorrow's visions. If they come, are welcome, but if they should disappear, well, I can't live my life in fear. The day is only just begun. lay me down and overslide. Content not to resolve but to accept. Yesterday is far away, a dream that only can replay. Tomorrow's visions, if they come, are welcome. And if they should disappear, well, I can't live my life in fear. The day is only just begun. The day is only just begun.
What a wonderful performance. I hope at home you enjoyed it as much as I did. I really enjoy the guys. They're fantastic. And I'm going to be asking them walking barefoot across the lawn. I want to hear the story behind that. You're very welcome, guys, to the Irish Art Show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Yes.
Very welcome.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for coming along.
Yeah, no, we really enjoyed it. So that song, Walking Barefoot Across the Lawn, kind of came about a couple of different things. It was one of those things. It's a rewriting of actually a sun salutation prayer, actually a Buddhist sort of thing.
Oh.
But really what it comes on is maybe from experience of, perhaps when you've had a late night or two, that you somehow, your mind wanders to spiritual sort of things, and you have this realization, but then you realize that maybe it's something you might have just read somewhere on a poster or something like that, and then you go back to sleep and you forget about it. So it's this kind of thing of the experience of like you think you're having a transcendental moment about a realization of something, but then you just go back to sleep.
I need to get those moments.
Yes.
And actually, how did you both meet?
We were both kind of grew up playing in bands around the Dundalk area, which is a really lively music scene, kind of centred around a few different pubs, but especially the Spirit Store would be the main venue, and we played in a lot of the same bands growing up. So we've known each other, I'd say, for about 20 years around that scene, maybe a bit longer.
Maybe a bit longer.
Maybe a bit longer. So we would have played lots of shows together in different bands and that, but really it was kind of post-COVID. I've moved back to Dundalk, and I think Conal as well, and so we kind of started moving the same circles, and thought we would be each other's backing band for making music, but then kind of found once we practiced the songs worked well together, and kind of the sound has kind of come into its own thing.
I mean, your sound is great together, and also your voices blend great together. They sound like they're meant to be together.
Oh.
That's because we look like we're related.
Yeah, I know, I said that to you before the interview, and I don't know why that is, but there you go.
Yeah.
Were you always creating music?
Well,
Did you have it in your childhood? Did your family have music?
Not really, no. I mean, Conal's story is very different to mine, but basically I got into music. I liked it because a friend of mine who was, when I was 12, said, I need a bass player for a band. Can you just learn the bass? So I did, and then I started from there. And then afterwards, when that band finished up, I started another band. The band needed a songwriter, so I thought, I better just start writing some songs for that, and really enjoyed it. That was slightly different in that I wasn't the lead singer of that band, and I wasn't the lyricist, but I would write kind of a fair chunk of the music, and then we'd put it together as a band, and that would maybe be about half the music would have been done that way. There were a lot of different ways of writing in that band, but it's very different now to be, kind of singing your own songs that you've done the lyrics for and everything like that. But I had about a 10-year gap when I wasn't writing, where I was kind of more studying music in an academic sort of sense, and I got to going back into music really actually through that, and just looking at different ways people are being creative. I thought, I should revisit some things I've done before in the past, and that's what kind of got me interested in writing songs again.
And what about yourself, Conal?
I would have grown up playing music. My father plays guitar and sings. He's very good. He's really into like folk and country music, and there's just myself and my brother as children in the family, and my brother is a phenomenal musician. He's absolutely brilliant guitar player, very good piano player, just an all-round general good musician. So I grew up playing piano actually, and started playing guitar in my 20s. And I could play guitar, I could play chords and stuff, but I only kind of got interested in it in my 20s, and kind of played. I kind of was writing from I was about maybe 10. Like, it wasn't any good, but I was trying it, and and I've always played. I don't know. I kind of like even when I kind of go, I'll give it a rest for a while. I'm not happy unless I'm doing something musically. You know, so.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like your instrument is almost becomes your friend. You know, in a bit of a way, it keeps you happy, and if you're feeling sad, it brightens you up a little bit.
Yeah. Or it could be like some sort of like dependent substance that you just can't get away from. Like, I don't know. It's both
addicted
your friend
to it,
and like
addicted to the guitar, exactly.
Yeah.
And you know, what would be your influence in music, Conal?
I suppose there obviously there are an awful lot of things. I've always been a huge fan of the likes of Paul Simon. Like, I think he's like one of the really all-time great songwriters, and I love the Simon and Garfunkel stuff, the solo records. I just think he's wonderful. And then more into kind of like, I like a lot of those kind of classic songwriters, and then more into the indie rock. I like an awful lot of kind of quirkier stuff like the Unicorns, who are like a Canadian indie rock band, Broken Social Scene, who I'm a huge fan of, and I had the pleasure of working with their producer. I recorded an album over in Toronto with their producer, and I like a lot of kind of like I like kind of simple, well put together songs, and then I kind of like sort of quite brittle, harsh sounding things. I love that kind of punk ethos, but not necessarily punk music.
And it's great that you can collaborate together and also collaborate with other people.
Yeah.
What about yourself?
Well, we'd have a fair amount of stuff, I think, that we'd overlap. I mean, in just following on what Conal just said of like music that is maybe punk in ethos but doesn't sound punk, I'd put something like maybe Steely Dan into that, and like that is very much doesn't sound that way but has that sort of attitude. And I'd like a lot of stuff maybe like that, and also classic songwriters, maybe, you know, kind of very standard stuff like the Beatles or Burt Bacharach, but also a lot of pre-rock and roll music, sort of. The kind of Tin Pan Alley songwriters and Broadway kind of songwriters. I just find that it's. I like a lot of the music that's kind of almost independent of the recording of it. You know, that it kind of lives in its performance, and that you know, lots of different people have different versions of those classic standard songs. So that's something I'm really attracted to. But also at the same time, you know, some contemporary songwriters like Weyes Blood or Father John Misty or Rufus Wainwright. You know, there are lots of I think people writing really good music at the minute, but it has maybe some of that kind of classic songwriteriness about it too.
Very much so, yeah.
That's some amount of influence, I have to say.
Yeah.
Amazing influence, actually. And does the research in your book influence your songwriting?
Yeah, it actually did. Like the book essentially is about the songs of Franz Liszt, which aren't. He's not known as a song composer. He's known as a virtuoso piano composer. But he wrote a large body of songs that are really good, essentially. But what was unusual about him is that about 30% of those songs exist in multiple versions that were written sometimes over a 40-year span. So it was really enlightening to see someone, you know, of, you know, their stature as a composer, maybe going back to things that they'd written 20 years ago, and really taking them apart and making them a new sort of piece in a work, and how there was like a continuum of the work, and it felt like a fluid thing that changed over time. And it just had me thinking about with songs, I tend to not, it got me like that I could go back and revise things. You're not necessarily ever finishing a song. You're just, you know, playing it at a point in time or recording it at a point in time. And so it's really made me very good at never finishing anything. So yeah, that's and to say that that's fine.
It's
know?
work in progress.
Yeah, it's working. It's
Because
like,
I'm sure at some point it will be finished.
yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, like it'll definitely
It'll
be
take forever. It
it'll
doesn't
definitely be
matter.
recorded, but it then might be recorded again.
Yeah.
You know.
But I think that's the way it is. When you're creating, sometimes you can create something and then you look back and you go, why did I, or even if you sing something, you might go, why didn't I sing it differently?
Exactly.
It's
yeah.
always movement, isn't it? Movement of creation,
Yeah.
you know? And actually, influence of DIY recording techniques. Can you explain that to me?
Sure. I suppose. Well, those limitations kind of make us have to be somewhat creative in what we're doing.
Yeah, I suppose when you record, we're recording ourselves
Yeah.
at the moment, and we don't really have any intention of going into say like a professional studio to record a record there.
Yeah.
And it kind of means because you can't make something sound really polished and like have that kind of professionalism sheen on it, it means then you kind of have to do something else. So you have to make it interesting in ways. And I suppose when I was talking about bands like Broken Social Scene, even though they recorded in like a big studio, it's strange, but it's sonically really interesting. You hear that in like from like Sonic Youth and Beck and all these kinds of acts where it's like it just has an interesting sound, and you can do that cheaply. You just have to. It just takes time, and it takes thought, and it takes kind of creativity, and but you don't need a really expensive microphone. You just need to sing really well, or you just like it needs to be there in the take, and then you need to do something interesting with it. So that's.
But it's your uniqueness in music, and also the fact that you can spend as much time as you like recording it. You're not under pressure to record it under a certain time.
Yes, which is good and bad as well.
Well, because you keep coming back to fix things.
Yeah.
And actually coming back to fix things is kind of one of the kind of common traps that people fall into, because I think you kind of just have to go, right, that's there, and I make a mistake in it, but it sounds good. Yeah. You kind of have to kind of
because you'll never be happy. You'll never be happy with something. You'll
No
always
one's
want
ever
to change
happy.
it, no matter how good it is or how good somebody tells you it is.
Yeah.
And actually, explain vintage musical instruments.
Oh, I collect cheap old instruments that nobody else
one's
would
heard
want.
of. Not kazoos now, all those things.
I
is
would
it?
love if anybody has vintage kazoos that they
I've
want
got
to
a
send
vintage
to me.
one, but I have
please,
one. I have one at home, but it's not vintage. Someone said to me it was going to sound like a saxophone. Trust me. Even if you're a vocalist, because they say if you're a vocalist, it does not sound like a saxophone.
No, I don't think it does.
I don't know what kind of trickery they're doing on that to make it sound like a saxophone.
No.
But yeah, I'm a big fan of older equipment. I suppose, like we were saying about kind of the kind of DIY recording thing, it's like you can't have like an amazing like kind of the kind of guitar sound that you would hear in the 3 Arena, but you can have like an odd, interesting guitar sound. That guitar that I was playing this evening is a baritone. It's a Teisco baritone. They were a branch of the Kwai Piano Company that made guitars for a couple of years.
Wow.
It's from the early 60s. And actually the amp that I have is made by them as well. And it's, but like, I paid about €200 for the guitar and about 150 for the amp. So you can acquire these things quite cheaply.
Yeah.
And then you kind of have to fix them and get them working. But yeah, they can bring a charm. It's actually probably that's
charm.
That's it. It's charm that they have.
Yeah.
Like, so it goes out of tune all the time. If it's in tune down here, it's not in tune up here. But you have to accept that and go, yeah, this is just what I have.
You're not recording now on reels, are you?
I would love to be.
Yeah.
I would absolutely love to. Just don't tell my wife.
No, probably not. And what about? Oh, actually, I see that you have produced radio documentaries.
Yeah.
Excellent. Sounds lovely.
I suppose the last one that I did was about how, as the popular music that gets played on radio has sort of become more homogenous, which it definitely has. It's not just me being an old man giving out saying young people's music is all the same, but you can, even if you look at it in numbers, like the range of notes from the highest note to the lowest note has gone down. the reading age required to read the lyrics of a song kind of is just on a downward trajectory. The number of chords, though that's not necessary. That's one way of a thing being complex, but everything's kind of like going down. The number of repetition in songs is going up. And so as that's been happening, there's kind of no place for the kind of thing that we would do on, say, like national radio or on kind of national media. So you end up on things like this, like the Irish Arts Show,
Well, just
on
more niche, really, as
or
well.
on like Dan Haggerty has a show on
Yeah.
2XM.
Yeah.
You end up in those kinds.
Yes.
But I
like-
think that's where a lot of media is going. It's
It is changing.
It's more
Yeah.
it's more niche, and it's not
So-
a broadcast sort of era.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I suppose the documentary was about how I think music has become much more interesting.
Well, if you
Because-
think about it, like say years ago, you had to go into a studio to make a complete
Very
song.
much, yeah.
You had
Yeah.
to then hire someone to do a video for you. Now you can do the video on your phone, and you can nearly record it, I'm sure, on your phone without. We're getting to the point where
Yeah, the kind of the democratization of
It's
the
crazy, like-
recording process,
anybody
yeah.
will be able to do it.
Yeah.
And editing and all, you can do that on your phone. You couldn't have done that years ago.
No.
And there's also countless YouTube tutorials that will teach you how to do
Yes.
Yeah.
they'll teach you how to fix those broken instruments I was telling you
That you
about that you can
bought.
buy really cheaply.
Yeah.
I love that. And previous musical projects, what have you had?
What do you want to take that one, Conal, or do?
Yeah, well, I was in a band called Heritage Centre, who we did well. We had a following, and played internationally. And that's the band I was saying. We recorded an album with David Neufeld, who produced Super Furry Animals and Broken Social Scene and The Most Serene Republic, and bands like that I would be a huge fan of. And then when that was done, I went on. I had a band called We the Oceanographers, and we had an almost award-winning debut album. Almost. The dream.
Don't
the
be
dream.
saying almost now. We're ruining the
But,
moment.
well, I was very, very happy with the album. Like I suppose that was my first kind of foray into putting out stuff that I had recorded at home. And it was more of a recording project really than a band. And so we did that. And then after that, I recorded that was a very long process of like writing things and recording them, making them sound really interesting and nice. And then the next thing that I did after that was a band called Triggering. It was me and my friend Craig McCann, formerly of Wounds, and it was like a kind of trash rock, just guitar, drums, and one vocal, and it was all tracked live in a warehouse. And it sounds, I like it, but be cautious.
But, I love the magic and the imagination and the sparkly eyes looking at me and all the innovative things that you're doing to create music and the collaborations. It's just, I can literally talk to you all night about all of this. You just feel how you just have a mountful of information in your brains. It's just amazing.
Yeah, it's one of the things I think that is attractive to work as a collaborative is that we do bounce a lot of ideas back off each other. I'm always learning stuff from Conal actually, and like thinking of new things that I wouldn't have thought about doing that way or whatever, or learning about different bands or different things. And I hope there's something of that the other way too, in that I feel like we're getting, so I think that's where it comes from. It's a nice kind of exciting place to be, and to feel that, if we're going into rehearse or practice that, not actually sure what's going to happen at all. There's not, it doesn't feel routine, which is
That's
great.
good.
Yeah.
Well, it's been fantastic having you guys. Thank you so much for being part of the Irish Art Show.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure.
I
Real
honestly
pleasure.
could talk to you all night. Honestly, I could.
Yeah.
Until next time, maybe you could tell us about your social media.
Oh yeah. Well, we're going to do a website. Basically, we're going to, because I've got a feeling things are more niche. I think we're going to do a mailing list actually for the moment.
That is the plan. Yeah, mailing list. We'll from nickandconnell.com.
Yeah.
You can go and you
Amazing.
can sign up to our mailing list,
Yeah.
and we'll.
And basically, you won't have to fight an algorithm or anything. We'll just send you an email directly, and you'll know when things are being released.
I'm going to sign up.
It'll be
I'm in.
a break
Yes.
from social
I'm in.
media.
Exactly.
What's not to
Exactly.
love?
It's exactly.
No pictures of food, unless you ask for
If
them
you want,
explicitly.
if you want reviews of food, we'll do reviews of food.
I love you guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
I love
Thanks
the
for
Irish
having
Art
us.
Show. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Until the next time. Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you.
Well, there you go. I mean, honestly, I'm going to be giddy after that interview. They're such good fun and super talented. Thanks, guys. Thank you. I hope you enjoy that at home. On behalf of myself, Angel, and all the crew here at the Irish Art Show, we'll see you next week. Thank you very much and good night.